Hey guys, it's Holly. So today I wanted to look at my favorite looking one, well not even my favorite, just the one I'm most excited for out of the new LEGO Harry Potter Hogwarts Moments series, and that is the Transfiguration Classroom. So this is set 76382 and has 241 pieces, and each of these books retail for $30 US or 40 Australian, which is actually quite a lot, and I wish I didn't pay full retail price for these, but I'm honestly just too excited. Now of course for this set, the big draw to it is the new Minerva McGonagall minifigure, which is honestly the reason I am so excited, so let's have a look at it now. So here is the Transfiguration or Gryffindor book, and just like the rest of them, it does have that giant Hogwarts crest printed on the front, which is absolutely amazing. But I know that both you and me just really want to take a look at McGonagall, so let's go and do that. First up, we have hands down the most interesting figure and just item out of this set in general, and that is Professor McGonagall, and I'm calling it right now. This is going to be the crown jewel minifigure of 2021. I know it's early and we have barely seen any figures, but she has to be one of the best figures we're gonna get this year. Just absolutely look at her. This hair hat piece is gorgeous, and when I saw it in the bag, I wanted to scream. It was the best. Let alone her updated face print as well to now feature her glasses. That looks amazing, and I love the fact that it is basically the same face besides the glasses print and maybe some sterner looking eyebrows, and also her new torso print and dress piece looks absolutely incredible. The torso print I'm pretty sure is slightly different, although it's very, very similar. They've just kind of updated the circle pattern on it a bit more to match that skirt piece, which is absolutely beautiful. And this is what I mean by the Harry Potter figure standard. Like, even in 2018, that older version of McGonagall looked absolutely amazing, but now we've gotten this one, and this is just perfect. The amount of effort and detail and printing on this figure is absolutely incredible, and I really hope we get to see more of this, because personally I would rather detailed figures like this than a bunch of new like pieces and prints and things like that in the set. Like, give me 20 stickers if you must, as long as I can get a beautiful figure like this, because she is amazing. LEGO has done a fantastic job. Next up is Ron Weasley, and he's pretty much the same as every other young Ron Weasley we have gotten, except he does feature that new Gryffindor torso with the emblem, which has first appeared in these Hogwarts Moments sets. And like I've said a few times, I just don't think these torsos are all that accurate. I wish the shield piece wasn't there. I do like the tie design though. I think that looks really good, but personally, just for accuracy's sake, I hope we go back to the older style of torso. There's also something really weird about my Ron. For some reason, his eyes look really big. I know this has seemed to be a problem. There was a few copies of Diagon Alley that people got where his eyes looked a bit funky as well. It looks fine on his alternate face, but for some reason, just on his regular one, they look absolutely massive. I don't know why that is, or even if it's just my imagination for that matter. And lastly, we have Hermione Granger, and I love this version of young Hermione as always. She looks absolutely adorable, and just like Ron, she has that new Gryffindor torso print, which is the exact same, so I'm not going to kind of ramble on about that again. But just like all the other Hermione, she also does have a scared alternate face and comes with her regular tan wand. So here is the Gryffindor book, and just like the rest of them in this series, it does have that really lovely printed tile piece on the front. I love the design of this printed piece, and I love that they were able to put the Latin underneath it. And the only difference really between each of the covers is all of the different details on the front. So Transfiguration, for example, has a little mouse or rat, you've got a cup, you've got a cat, and then at the bottom you have another cup or goblet for that matter. You do have a raven, I believe that is, and a broom. So that is really cool. On the side you do have that goblet print again, and then you do have some really nice curved pieces, and at the back you just have a plain Jane old piece, which is the same as the front, just without the print, and you kind of flip it upside down. Just like the Disney Princess books as well, everything folds up really neatly and is really nice and contained, although because they're a bit stuck to each of the walls, I find that the Transfiguration one doesn't really close completely, and then you open it up and you have the entire set here. So at the top, as you can see, which just fell down, you do have a table with a cool print at the bottom actually. It is kind of lopsided. I guess it's more of a bench top than a table. You also do get this little seat here with a chest on the top, which is supposed to pop off, and then you've got two seats underneath that table. On the side here, you do have a really nice shelf display, and then you have a chalkboard finally at the top, and that's basically the book itself. So firstly, before I take a look at that, let's look at all of these small bits and bobs. First up, because it fell off the top, we do have this bench top table. I mean, that could be the case case, except for the fact I just looked at the box to double check and it turns out it's McGonagall's teaching stand. Yay, I'm a genius. Unfortunately though, there is no studs for her to kind of sit still and like stay put, which you can't blame me. That's why it looks like a table, especially considering the rest of the books all have tables that look like that. But no, it is McGonagall's teaching stand, so it's supposed to go up like that. So I'm glad I checked the box because now I look like an idiot. The actual bench you get is this one here, which does have a little desk on either side, and then it does come with 2 stools which can neatly be packed underneath and attached by a stud, which is pretty cool. I really like the way that all kind of folds into each other. It's really nice and neat, although I guess that kind of stools make it look like they're very tall considering they're short characters, so they actually have to stand on the top. But I guess maybe you can just tuck it in like that and make it look a bit better. You also get a really nice nougat chest, and on the inside you do have a silver goblet which looks really nice. I love that color. You also get a yellow frog to be transformed, and you've got a cup for when it is transformed into. I love those teacups as well, and because it is such a small piece, you do get 2 of them in this set, which is pretty handy actually. Next up is a chalkboard, and this chalkboard comes straight from the Chamber of Secrets, where they are learning the spell Vera Veto, where you turn a household pet into a goblet of water. Unfortunately, Ron Weasley could not do it in the movie, which is quite unfortunate. Underneath you do have some written text and some little maths, and the overall build for this is just very simple, and it's kind of why it's not really my favorite. I just think the design for this is kind of slack. I would have liked like an extra shelf or something like that, but also they've had to shove this stud on the side so that you can actually attach it to the rest of the building for when the book is all folded up. My favorite hands down of these mini builds though is this little shelf. At the bottom you have a stickered piece with a bunch of books on it all stacked up, which looks really nice, and then at the top you do have another plate which has a golden minifigure statue, a rock on a stud, then one of those really nice glittery purple pieces with a stud on the top, and another one of those silver goblets. And kind of what I wish they did with that chalkboard piece is they had those pieces with like the little grate here and then a tile on the top, and overall I think this is really nice and also could be slotted into my Hogwarts mock. Then you can see at the bottom as well that there is a kind of stud missing from where it is, and that is just so that it can slot in a bit better, which honestly that whole concept confuses me because the way it slots in just looks really weird. Here is the Transfiguration book, and it does fold out a bit more like this and is very open. Honestly, I like the open design of it. I just think in general the architecture for this one in particular is very boring. I mean, there's very few bits that I like, one of which actually includes these little Gryffindor panel pieces, which are honestly quite loose just because of the pieces chosen. These are also both stickers. I was hoping they were prints because I think they look really neat and you could use those elsewhere very easily. The stickers as well look really nice. It's just I personally don't really like the orange color of this book. I think dark red would have worked a lot better. I get that this isn't necessarily supposed to be a Gryffindor book, quote unquote Gryffindor book, but I just think the orange kind of sticks out like a sore thumb in comparison to the rest. It feels like they tried to go for pastel, but they didn't really have a pastel red or orange, so they went for this. You've got this weird cabinet thing here, which when you open it, you just see an exposed plate. And I mean, look, the portraits of the wizards are pretty cool, but then you go up to the top and it just looks boring. Like, what is that in comparison to the other ones? Just the architecture on this one is pretty weak. Like, the stickers look all right, but like you look at these archways and they're just, it's very boring. Like, there's not really much I can talk to you about because what you see is what you get, and what you get unfortunately is just a kind of lackluster build. And at the top there's a few bits of studs for where pieces are supposed to be connected into, but one thing I don't get is the use of this bright yellow round stud. Now I get putting a round stud there so that everything slots in easily, because what's supposed to happen is the book would close and that shelf that I showed you would slot in here and it would just fit in like that, and it was supposed to be real simple and easy. But what I don't understand is why it was a round bright yellow stud that was chosen. Put a round stud there, but don't make it stick out like a sore thumb by making it bright yellow, because the rest of this set has a very earthy tones, design and feel. What I feel like with this one in particular is a lot of the excitement factor is supposed to come from the mini builds, but really the most exciting mini build is this shelf here. Like, this chalkboard is is very lackluster. McGonagall's thing, I couldn't even tell that that was supposed to be a little place for her to stand and present. Then you get a chest, which is pretty cool admittedly, but it's just a stock standard chest, and you get the 2 benches, and that's about it. Because besides that, the only other things you get in a set is another thing of Scabbers, which is the version where he doesn't have his hair printed, unfortunately, which is a bit of a shame. And then you do get a Transfiguration book tile, which looks really nice, and I'm really glad we're getting more of these spell prints because I'm very sick of just getting Wingardium Leviosa over and over again, and this one looks very interesting. So besides that tile print, McGonagall, and maybe those wizard stickers and that little bookshelf here, I just think the set's very lackluster. So that is the Transfiguration book, and overall I definitely think it is the weakest build-wise out of the 4 of them. I just think in comparison, the build just isn't as exciting, and majority of the excitement for this set comes purely from that McGonagall figure. She is spectacular, I'm not going to deny that, but part of me thinks that they spent so much time designing that figure that the actual set design kind of lacked off. I just think the bricks chosen and the actual design of it is a bit weaker. Like, you look at Slytherin and that had some amazing design to it, and that was majority just down to sticker printing, which I feel like this set could have probably benefited from, but also using just some more interesting pieces. I also definitely do not like the color of this book. I think the orange just doesn't look right, and I know it's not meant to represent Gryffindor, so I guess it is kind of like within the realm to use orange, but I personally feel like a dark red would have benefited this set a lot more. It also would have gone with the Gryffindor colors and banners inside the set a lot nicer. I just think orange just doesn't really scream Transfiguration or Gryffindor or McGonagall for that matter. But let me know your thoughts on this set down below. Do you plan on picking it up, and what do you think of that McGonagall minifigure? Because she is the most gorgeous thing I have ever seen. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel down below for the rest of the Harry Potter Hogwarts Moments book reviews. And until next time guys, I'll see you later.